setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. Glad you've joined me. Nice, beautiful blue skies. Crisp morning. Air is nice and clean. What a great day here in Palm Beach. So what is our conversation? Well, today is Political Tuesday. So today we're going to be talking about politics. We are going to be talking about hearsay, lies, and nonsense. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Well, we're back to Political Tuesday. Every Tuesday I do this, and I might be doing it until the end of the elections, but Political Tuesday is all about when we sit down and we talk about politics. We're taking our Democratic hat off, we're taking our Republican hat off, and we're sitting down together over a cup of coffee. I have a great Dunkin' Donuts coffee. By the way, I'm not promoting Dunkin' Donuts, it's just that I like that brand of coffee. It's easy to make, it's great tasting, and it wakes you up. And that's what I need early in the morning. I need wake-up call from coffee. So, we've been going through this impeachment trial. And basically what we've heard is nothing but hearsay. In other words, what somebody else told somebody else. I wanted to read this to you because I put this on my blog this morning. And it says it's pretty hard to have a trial without witnesses. And if you have just hearsay reports, you do not have the circumstances, you do not have the flavor, you do not have really the aura of the trial. In other words, and by the way, that was written by Arlen Specter. I don't know if you remember him. A lot of you young people probably won't remember him, but he was a senator. And he was a pretty good one, especially when it came to the judicial side. But it's telling us there that if you have hearsay, you really have nothing. You have nothing but nonsense. You have nothing but nonsense. There's another great quote that goes, "You condemn on hearsay evidence alone, your sins increase." And that's a good old African proverb. Hearsay is worthless because it doesn't get you to the truth. In fact, no truth is being really said. Most hearsay is developed from lies or rumor or from a disgruntled person that wants to make a case for themselves based upon what they heard somebody else say. And they may not have heard anybody say it. Or they may have heard it incorrectly. So here we have a Congress who's trying to destroy somebody. And let's take the name Trump out, but let's just say it's somebody. Let's say it's you. Let's say it's you. Let's say it's me. We're before that Congress and they don't like us. They don't like you. They despise you because you've done something that they don't like. So they went out and they got all of your friends. They got all of your co-workers. They got all of your employees. Anybody who would say something about somebody else, about what they've heard somebody else say about you. Now, they have no actual facts. No. Facts are put to the side. If you're going to listen to anybody from that's promoting or endorsing hearsay, it's basically a lie. It's basically about what somebody else has said. And it has nothing to do with the issues at hand. Now remember what all started this. It was the conversation that was said to the president of Ukraine. And it was all based, this impeachment was all based upon what somebody else said. It was a whistleblower. He wasn't in the room, but he heard somebody else say, but somebody told him. But he wasn't there. He didn't hear the president. He doesn't even know really what the president said until the transcripts came out. So you had a hearsay. You had a formation of a lie, which turned into an impeachment hearing. Now remember, that's you, that's me. We're sitting there. And somebody else said something about us, and now they want us out. They want to get rid of us. In fact, they have been planning this for 3 years about you. They did not want you there. So for 3 years they've been planning, they've been conniving, they've been scheming. They've been making stuff up. And every single time they've made something up, it's failed. In your favor, thank God. But now they want to impeach, so they've started this nonsense of a whistleblower about you and me, based upon what somebody else said. So here we sit, we're trying to defend ourselves, but we can't because they won't allow us into the room. They won't allow our attorneys to confront the accuser. So we're guilty. You and I, we're guilty. We can't prove our innocence because they won't allow us to. We're trying every which way. We're trying our social media outlets. We are trying to get through them by letter. We're trying to get through them through legal means. But they won't allow us in. They won't allow us to talk to the people that are saying things about us. And the sad thing is, we can't prove our innocence because they will not allow us to prove that we're innocent. So they went out and they got some more witnesses. Again, hearsay. 2 individuals that stood there before Congress and said, this person said this to me and that person said that, and all hearsay. They were never in the room with the president. They've never even met the president. They've never even talked to the president. But the prosecutor and the judge, all in one, wants to get to us. And so the question was asked, do you know of any illegal act that this person did? And both of them said, no. They couldn't answer the question. And then they brought in another witness who was a disgruntled employee. Lost her job because you fired her. You didn't like her performance, so you fired her, which you have the right to do. So she's mad, she's disgruntled, she's upset, her feelings are hurt. Because you did something against her. Now, she didn't lose her job, she still has a job. She's still getting paid by you. No one was ever fired. But yet her feelings were hurt. So they used an HR case, a human resource case, that should have been settled in human resources. But no, they wanted to bring it out before the public. Against you. They want to make it appear that you're this evil, awful person. How do you feel right now? Because you can't accuse her of anything. You cannot question her of anything. You don't have any rights. Your rights have been put to the side. Your legal rights have been put to the side, where the Constitution says you have the right to question your accuser. That's the Constitution. But they won't allow you to. So you're still guilty. You're still portrayed as the guilty person. You have no rights. All of your rights have been put to the side. And we're sitting there, you and I, we're the accused, and we're sitting there and we're saying, what can I do? What can I say? And when I do say something, I'm the evil person again. You're the evil person. So, there's no documentation to show I'm guilty of any crime. You're not guilty of any crime. There's no evidence. No one has presented any lick of evidence that shows that we're guilty. But yet we are guilty to the individual who's trying to be our judge and prosecutor all in one. And for 3 years, this prosecutor judge has been saying, he's going to take us down. He's going to destroy us. He is going to kick us out. That's been his plan for this whole time. You and I are trying to prove our innocence, but he will not allow it in any way. Even our defenders are not allowed to speak. We are in trouble. The Constitution, the law of the land, is being ignored. Our rights to cross-examine our accusers is being ignored. Our right to a fair trial is being ignored. Our right to a speedy trial is being ignored. Our right to look and review all the documents that's being presented is being ignored. They're not providing us anything, and they're not allowing us to provide them with any evidence. All of our constitutional rights have been put to the side. It has been replaced with a political law, political opinion. They're trying to take you down. You are guilty. And there's no way that they will allow you to prove your innocence. Now, we as Americans, we see this and we say, my gosh, that could happen to me. Will it happen to me? Under this new regime that we have in Congress, is that now going to be the rule of law that hearsay can take us down? That political law overrides the constitutional law. We have to ask those questions, you and I. As we sit here right now, we have a little bit of freedoms. We have a constitution still in place, but it's being attacked every single day by a ruling class that wants to create a destruction mechanism against you and me. I want you to think about that very heavily throughout your day. If it were me, what would I do? How would I defend myself? If they're not allowing me to question, to ask questions, to look at documents, to look at evidence, to present my own evidence, to present my own witnesses, what would happen to me? We have a constitution, and it's being ignored by the very Congress that voted on the Constitution at the very beginning of our nation. It was put in place to protect you and me from evil politicians. Politicians trying to gain power. So we sit here, you and I, we're drinking our coffee. Right now we're freedom, but what will happen in the future? What will happen when a judge now says, I will accept hearsay, but you can't cross-examine the person that's bringing the hearsay testimony against you. It's not allowed no longer in court. What would happen if that went into effect? Because judges seen the Congress doing it, so now they say, I'll do it too in my court. So we stand before the judge and he says, well, we've heard this, we've heard that. I'm not going to tell you who that individual is. And you don't get to question him. And by the way, you're guilty. Just get prepared for a guilty plea because we're going to put you in jail. We're going to lock you up. Congress did it. So we can do it. That's the new law. Totally ignoring the Constitution. Totally ignoring the rule of law. I really want you to think about that. Forget about being Democrat. Forget about being a Republican. Forget about being so hateful in your political thinking. Put that all aside and think about if the law was bent and turned and twisted to take you down. That's a big question that you and we have to ask ourselves and we have to look at. We have to look at it very carefully. It's a sad situation, and on Political Tuesdays, I usually talk about politics that or laws that are affecting you and I. But this affects us greatly because it hinders on our constitutional rights. When you see Congress attacking the Constitution and the way that they're doing it, be very scared, be very concerned, be very focused on those individuals who are trying to take away our protections, our liberty, our constitutional rights. Be very concerned about that. Even if Congress was Republican and they were trying to do the same, we should stand up to that and protect. You and I have got to protect the Constitution of the United States. Now, I want you to remember that the Democrats and the Republicans, when they enter into Congress, they say an oath to the Constitution that they will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's an oath. That's an oath of office that they took. That's an oath. That's a promise that they made to us Americans, you and I. So as we're sitting here, you and I, we're having our cup of coffee together, and I enjoy this time so very much. But we have to ask ourselves, is Congress upholding the Constitution of the United States? Is there anything about judicial fairness in any of their activities that they've portrayed thus far? Ask yourselves those questions. Forget about if you hate Trump. Forget about that. You can hate him. I don't care. Go ahead. Hate him. But be very careful about that hate. And if you endorse hearsay, if you endorse straying from the rule of law in the Constitution, then you have been led off on the wrong path. Because that Constitution is there to protect you, your legal rights. If you want it to be political law, then you're going to destroy the whole nation based upon hate. Hate is a terrible thing. Hate pushes people in directions that they don't even know that they're going. Hate pushes them onto the road that says, we want to take these people down. We hate them so much. We want to take them down. And we don't care whether or not if the law is there. Because politically, we want our way. We want our power back. It's the wrong approach. This nation is so great and it's so mighty and it's so wonderful because it allows us all to have all of these opportunities if we want them. And it provides us with a legal structure to protect us. But you and I, we have got to support the Constitution of the United States and the rule of law, not political will, not political law. Because that will destroy a nation. That will divide a nation. That will create hate between its own people. I once talked about civil war. Civil war is the act of the same country's people fighting against the same people. Brothers against sisters, aunts against uncles, cities against cities, states against states, political powers against political powers, to regain power. Remember, back in the Civil War time, there was a big struggle between the South and the North over the act of slavery. The North said, enough with slavery, we're going to give the African American their freedom. And the South said, no, we want to have slaves still. And so a war broke out. I believe it was 1861. President Lincoln was the president at that time. He lost his life. He was assassinated because he was trying to fight for Americans, black and white. He was trying to fight for Americans. The rule of law needs to be protected. And what we're seeing right now in Congress, the rule of law is being attacked, it's being crumpled and thrown to the floor and being replaced with evil-hating politics. I hate that. I often wonder, why in the world would anybody want to run for office now if it's going to be so hateful and so evil? But you and I, let's finish up our coffee here. Why don't we agree? We can disagree on politics. That's fine. That's the American way. We each have our own views. I love that. But let's agree that our Constitution has to be protected. And by having impeachment trials or in the Congress in such a corrupt manner, and the attack on due process and legal rights, and facing our accuser, by them stripping that all out of the process of impeachment, we need to protect our Constitution, and we have to hold these politicians accountable for what they are doing. As I said, we can really strongly disagree on our political views. But as Americans, even though that we disagree, we have to still support our Constitution and the laws of this nation. And we have to support each other. Because once we start fighting each other, then we are in civil war. Once you allow people that have names like Antifa out there trying to shut down freedom of speech, we have civil war. When you have politicians trying to adopt laws and trying to stop freedom of speech, we have civil war. But we can end this very quickly. And we can end it by saying, okay, if you're not going to support my legal rights, then I'm holding you accountable. And by holding a politician accountable means that we had better see him working for the betterment of America instead of against Americans. That is where we need to be. It's a sad situation, but that's where we are. I also wanted to talk about California. I was seeing some new facts this morning. There's a great state representative in the state of California, and her name is Melissa Mendez. And I'm trying to get to it, but I can't make my computer work. I'm trying to get to it in the article that I posted. But she posted something this morning, which I thought was really kind of sad, okay? It said that in California, now remember California is a very socialist state. California, in New York, Chicago, Illinois. She said in California in 2012, 50% of Californians could afford a middle-class home. That was 2012. Just 5 years later, in 2017, only 28% could have a middle-class home. Home ownership is how the working class are able to join the middle class. And then she goes on to say, she says, but sadly, in a state so rich of human resources and talents, we have the most poverty and the most homeless. California now has half of the homeless population of the United States, and it's growing every single day. The poverty rate is up. The last time I saw it was at 22%, 24%. Highest in the nation. Legislators from the Democratic Socialist Party in Sacramento have put into place policies that have created a never-ending cycle of poverty for so many people and so many Californians. The average price of a home in California is now $600,000. If you're making $24,000, $30,000 a month, there's no way that you can afford a $600,000 house in California. Even at $50,000, you can't do it. Even at $70,000, you can't do it. The other issue is that just to rent a 300 square foot studio apartment is $1,800. Even up to $2,000 for 300 square feet. So California has adopted this socialist political scheme, and it's failing Californians greatly. And once again, you have them voting people into office that do not enforce the rule of law. Just recently in San Francisco, they voted in the district attorney there, who says he's not going to prosecute many different lower crimes. He's not going to prosecute them anymore. So what has happened in San Francisco? The crime rate has gone up because now people know that they can go into people's houses, break into them, take stuff out, break into cars, take stuff out, go into stores, take merchandise out, and not get prosecuted for it. So the crime rate goes up. Drug use on the streets goes up. Homelessness goes up. because there's no rule of law any longer in the city of San Francisco. I remember one time I was in San Francisco. I was down at the Pier 39. And I was down there with my godchildren, and we were walking along hand in hand, having a fun day. All of a sudden, I looked up and I saw this naked nude guy riding. There wasn't just one, there were three of them riding straight to us. I had to put my hands over the eyes of my godchildren. And off they went, because the city council said, it's okay to ride naked in the city of San Francisco. I also remember another time, in fact, it was that very same day. We decided to go, and I love this. I love this more than anything else, is to get the clam chowder in the bread bowl. So good. Especially when you've been out in the cold of San Francisco and you go in and get that nice hot soup. It is so good. So when they brought my bill, at the bottom of the bill, they were charging me to cover their employees' health care plans. We're adding on another, I forget what the percentage is. We're adding another percentage, and this is to cover our health care plan for our employees. They were forcing me, a patron of their restaurant, to pay for their health care plan. That was a city ordinance also. That it was okay for businesses to do that. So they have this social mindset that everybody has to pay for everything. Taxes have to go up. We're going to reduce the legal system so that lower crimes are not going to be prosecuted anymore. So crime rates go up. Drug use goes up. They have these socialist ideals that destroy cities. So you have homelessness, living in front of stores and restaurants, and patrons cannot get in and out because they're literally laying there. And the city will not remove them. The police will not remove them. So the businesses are being harmed greatly by this new socialist economics of California. This is such a travesty, because I tell you, I love California so much. I was born there. I was born in Vista, California. I was adopted. I was put up for adoption. My uncle was the chaplain for Camp Pendleton. A young officer came up and said, listen, my girlfriend is pregnant. We need to get rid of this child. And my uncle knew that his niece was trying so hard to have a baby, but they could not have babies. So he called up there and said, listen, do you want a baby boy? Because I've got a baby boy that needs a home here. He's with me now. My first bed was in a chest of drawers that they pulled out, and they put blankets in so that I could sleep in there. So my adopted parents, they drove all the way from Yakima, Washington, all the way down to the state of California to pick me up. And I lived the majority of my life after being born in California. It's my home state. And I hate to see these things happening to the state that I love. Now, I moved out in this past July of California, 100%, and moved to Florida. I got tired of the politics. I got tired of the homelessness. I got tired of the drugs. I got tired of the stupidity of politicians in the state of California. And I had to get out because it was driving me nuts every single day. And the more that I stood up and the more that I pounded on the table and pounded on politicians' tables like Adam Schiff, no response ever came back from them to resolve the issue. And now we have it even 10 times worse in California because of socialist politics. When the rule of law is broken and ignored, things happen within communities. And they're not good things. They're bad things. They can no longer afford housing. They can no longer afford the gasoline because it's up to $5. They can no longer afford the gasoline because the taxes are the highest in the nation on gasoline tax. That is going nowhere to fix the infrastructure that they had originally promised. It's now being siphoned off and used for other state agenda items. So we have this rule of law where laws are voted upon and never enforced or obeyed. Instead, they are pushed to the side to use whatever tax money from those laws for their own personal political agenda in the state of California, instead of repairing the roads and the highways and the transportation systems that we have. It's terrible. So that's my Political Tuesday. I hope that you really listened to what I was saying. I'm not trying to lecture you. I'm just trying to tell you we have to be very aware that our rights are just about ready to be taken away from us, our constitutional rights, because political law is overriding constitutional law. Forget about how much you hate people. Forget about that. Think about how those laws protect you and provide you with the rights of freedom of speech, of freedom of religion, and freedom of so many different freedoms. I want you to really, really think about what's happening now. It's affecting you. It's affecting me as we sit here and we have coffee together. If you have any questions, send me a text at 818-252-5682. 818-252-5682, and I will respond to you. I want everybody to go out today and really think, really, really think about what's happening. I think we all love this country. Now, there's some people out there that don't love this country, and you know who they are. When they fight against fellow Americans, they don't love America. Again, if you have a comment, text it to me at 818-252-5682. Everyone, go out, have a very great day on this Political Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.